even when we go through negative experiences, they don't process like that to me. So it maybe that's why it doesn't I don't wear that. You know, if we've been through something, it's like we're not wearing that energy because we haven't really practiced processing negative energy. It kind of like it hits us and it's like, woo, that was bad. And then it just bounces off like, okay, that's done.
Oh no.
Yeah.
They don't get it. It's okay. We get it.
I was like, yes, Lord, come on with the cancellations.
Whew, we going in it. Now just kidding.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but I'm black. Am I good? You know,
He's with the best of them. And he's one of my favorite men to emphasize.
that entrance sounds like much more than who I actually am.
My guest of honor is the queen of executing a theme and the ultimate inspiration leader. She's a first-generation college graduate that received her Bachelor's of Communications in Advertising and her Bachelor's of Communications in Public Relations from UT Arlington. She recently earned her Master's of Education degree in Guidance and Counseling from Angelo State University. Over the past 7 years, she has worked as a professional communications teacher. Now she serves as a counseling intern and head cheerleading coach at her alma mater, Lancaster High School. Her cheer program has been recognized several times by the National Cheerleading Association for outstanding performance and team excellence. She wears many hats: certified school counselor, braiding and weaving specialist, and graphic designer. Some of her professional awards include the Crest Award and the Gold Star Award for Advertising. She's a wife celebrating 13 years of love with her high school sweetheart, and they've officially become homeowners. She lives by the quote, "Everything works out in the end. If it hasn't worked out yet, then it isn't the end." Today, my guest of honor is Brittney Hervy. How you doing, sis?
Good. And just so for the record, guys, Brittney Hervy, that's Hervey.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it is definitely spelled special. Like I told Swerve that one time, I was like, man, this is different.
I think that is French.
Is it?
I think that's why they spell it out that way. But yep.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all because look, that I love that last name. I feel like it's different and not many people have. I think y'all are the only people that I know with it spelled like that.
Yeah. It's so awesome to be on here. Thank you so much for just welcoming me and inviting me on here. I'm excited to be able to talk to you guys and really just be able to give you knowledge, and not just you, but the people that watch your podcast, share my knowledge that I have and be able to help others.
I appreciate that. I think that the things that you have in your professional experience, like, I think it can help a lot of people because a lot of people don't communicate well. Like that's one thing I feel like we all struggle with. Like we have to
Very
learn
true.
communication skills and how to make it like adapt to different areas.
Mhm.
So I think that is definitely something the world needs. Tell me a little bit about your background, like where you're from, and a little bit about your family.
Okay, so a little bit about my background. Prior to moving out here in Lancaster, I actually are not here. I actually live in Grand Prairie now. But when I came to Texas, we lived in El Paso, and prior to that, we lived in Colorado and in Germany. I was a military brat, so we did a lot of traveling around. And then when I turned 7, we moved here, and I really been in this area, the Southwest region of Texas or Dallas since 1997.
Wow.
So that's a little bit about like that. And then I grew up in Lancaster, Texas, and I came back to teach in Lancaster. Went to school at UT Arlington and Angelo State, as we said before. But I guess a little bit more. I have one brother. A lot of people think I'm an only child, or they think that I have little siblings, but I have an older brother, and I was raised by a single mother. And you already know about my husband. He was my high school sweetheart, but we've actually both been in Lancaster since we were in kindergarten. So kind of everything with me is real homegrown and attached to my hometown.
That's amazing. Look, first of all, the fact that you get to be in the same place, like, and have that support system is amazing. Like that's pretty dope.
Yes.
Very rare that people can go
Yes.
back home, you
And
know?
the access to your mentors, and a lot of teachers that I had when I was in school, they moved up into administration, and so it's just real interesting to see how that dynamic changed. Where I was a student, you were my teacher. Now, as a teacher or even as a professional counselor, and I'm looking at my teachers and watching them grow as well into administrative roles. So it's pretty cool to be able to see those things and even be able to look at the possibility that that could be me and my students one day.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, you mentioned that you went to UTA and that's where I met you at. And you're a first generation graduate, just like me. So tell me like how
Yes.
you even got to the point of wanting to go to school or being inspired to go to school.
I always felt like going to college wasn't necessarily an option for like, or it was something I knew I was gonna do.
Hmm.
It was something my mom really didn't like push it on me or anything because for her she felt like, well, I didn't finish, or I didn't necessarily go to college right away. So I don't feel like that's something I had to push on you, but I naturally was driven and naturally wanted those things. And when I did decide that that was what I wanted to do, my mom was like, okay, like you need to
Let's
be
do
honest
it.
and we need to, do this. So it just kind of had, and for me, it wasn't an option. Now, when I got ready to go to grad school, that was like, okay. The first one, I felt like that was for my mom. Like that was for my family. That was for like, hey, y'all did, you did what you needed to do, and like y'all may have started and I finished that race, like that's done. And we celebrate that as a family. I think even on my graduation cap I put it takes a village and a great mom to raise a college grad, because it really did. I feel like I did that for my family. But when I got ready to do this master's, I was like, okay, that was something I felt like in at first when I was graduating school, like it wasn't realistic for me. I was thinking like, okay, I never really thought about going that far. Like a master's, that gotta be for that's for people that's on that next level. And then it's not that I didn't have the confidence in myself. It was just that I didn't know. No one had ever treaded that far
Yeah,
in my family yet. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna really have to like commit to doing it. And it was very challenging. It was a journey and a process, but it was so rewarding at the end. And I did way better than I ever expected. I really got into it and loved it. The only thing about it was like maybe time. As you
hmm,
become an adult, it's like things that used to be simple when you were a student, like a kid, to be able to go to school. All you got to do is go to school, come home, study, hang out with your friends, go to school. Now as an adult, and like you said, with me having so many hats, I was like, okay, I gotta really get, really get structured, really get organized, really commit to doing this. But it really that's the one that really amazed me and showed me like, wow, like I can really do anything.
you can, and you literally just set the bar for everybody coming behind you now.
Yeah.
So they have no excuse. Like they know it can be done because you did
Right,
it.
with multiple titles, with multiple things going on. It's like, and I try to encourage people too. The only thing I would say about it is like, when you're going to go get your master's, like know exactly why you want to pursue that master's. Don't do it for cloud. Don't do it because it's like, dang, everybody else is doing it. So I feel like now that's the next best thing that I need to do.
Hmm.
Um, have a real purpose for going so that you could be successful in doing it. And so that you'll have that constant motivation as you're going through it, because you get to a point where you be like, whew, okay. And when you start, you're like, I'm rolling. Yes, new year, new me. And then you get in that middle of your master's program and you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, do I really want to do it? Like, is this really? But it's so worth it at the end. But you really need to have a purpose for going. And I knew, it's interesting. I did graduate with my bachelor's in advertising and public relations, a double major. But at the time when I was in school around my junior year, I'd actually went to the office to change my major, and it wasn't that I didn't want my major. It had just dawned on me that like I want to be a school counselor. Like
Yeah.
I told them, I was like, I want to be a school counselor. Like, how can I do that? How can I become a school counselor? And the lady I talked to, she said, well, you could change your major to education and then or psychology, and then you can go through the school of education or school of social work and get a bachelor's, and then go back to school for a master's um, in psychology or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, it's already kind of too late. I'm in my junior year. I'm like, I was thinking that it was that I could do it at a bachelor's level, but you can't. You have to have a master's in it. And
Mhm.
so another option that she told me about was getting an alternative certification. So and that was to be able to teach, because you have to be a teacher first before you can become a counselor. So getting an alternative certification to teach. And then she said you can always go back to school for counseling. I was like, even if I don't have my undergrad in like counseling or psychology she was like, yeah, even if you don't, you can still go back to school for those things. So that's what I ended up doing when I got to year 5 in school, because I actually was going to do exactly what they said, 3 years or 2 years of teaching and then go right for my master's. But I love the classroom so much. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is fun. Like I actually enjoy this. Like this is everything. And surprisingly, I didn't know I was going to go the education route, but my background already had it in there. I had already
Mhm.
been a summer camp counselor for 6 years. I had already been a peer academic leader at the school, and it was just things already set up in my past that God had already put in place that I wasn't even paying attention to, that was
Put
setting
in
me
your
up
steps.
to be able to go into education. So it really just all worked out perfectly, and now we're here. And I got my
Yeah.
certification, and it's happening. I'm able to be a counselor now.
That's amazing. Look, God, I'm telling you, it's the provision.
Girl,
Like He will
God is
definitely order
good,
the steps. He'll lay it all out there. He might not show
even
you
when you can't
everything.
see it.
He'll show you a little bit. He'll be like, "Here, a little peek," but he
And
don't
you
show you
really have
everything.
to know how to walk by faith. Like you really have to trust that he knows what he's doing. Like I always hear a lot of people say that, anything worth having is worth fighting for and worth, like you have to push and fight for it and like do all these things. But I've always kind of thought the opposite, like the things that are for me are actually effortless.
Yeah,
I don't really have to put, when it's really and truly for me, whether I force it, try to force it to happen, or whether I won't say sit still, but I would say patiently order my steps. Like it's really gonna happen if it's for me. And
yeah.
that's and I guess that comes from my faith in God, that like everything that's for me is gonna work out the way it's supposed to be. So I'm not gonna stress myself out about it.
You can't, and it definitely will work out for you. You just have to do your part, and you have to be
Mhm.
prepared for the journey. It's like it's not
Yeah,
necessarily like we try to manipulate situations all the time, and that's why
all the
we
time.
experience so much stress. If you're stressed
Hmm.
out, you're probably in something you're not supposed to be in.
Right. Or you procrastinated and wait to the last minute.
That
But other
part.
than that, if you're stressed out, but that's why I say everything works out in the end. If it hasn't worked out yet, then it isn't the end. So when you're like, think about that when you're really stressing, like we all know something you were really, really stressing about a year ago is not even important to you now, but it worked
Yep.
out.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? But at that time, it didn't feel like that. And I don't care if it's the hardest and toughest thing in your life, it will work out. But
Mhm.
you have to believe that, you have to be able to move forward with that mindset that like, okay, it's gonna work out. Now that doesn't mean that it changes your situation or that you won't have to do anything for it to work out, but it will work out. So you just, stay positive about that portion of it, that eventually this is simmer down and everything is gonna be the way that it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Now tell me why school counseling is your choice, because I know, like you said, you study communications in school, but why did you choose school counseling? Like, why did that spark in you?
So well, when you look at even my undergrad majors, it was public relations and advertising. So it wasn't, even though it was within communication, I'd always had like a passion or like this want to connect to people. That's what the
Mhm.
public relations piece was like I really love and love working with other people, and somewhat of a like people pleaser, but I'm also just really into helping others. and helping
Mhm.
others understand and making like complex things really simple for other people to understand.
Mhm.
And then on the advertising side, I am really great in the graphic communication side of things, but also influencing others, understanding what people want and
Mhm.
need. But it's like it has always been like people based. And so when I like pull that over here now into counseling, it's like it's still people are person based, but now I'm in a space where I always felt like um I would say maybe the last 2 years of high school and 13th grade, which we call that freshman year of college,
Yeah.
I always felt like that part of your life is so important, and it just dictates so much like the direction. It doesn't mean that your life will be like, a certain way forever based off what you do there, but
Yeah.
it's just so important that little moment. And it's like I wanted to be able to insert myself, and I was already doing it as a teacher, but I've found that like even through teaching that it's the connection with the kids that I love the most. I love
Yeah.
teaching my subject, but that part wasn't my passion. Like some people, like if I'm an English teacher, I'm passionate about English, or if I, and not every single person, I'm just saying like I probably went in because I was passionate about teaching other people English.
Mhm.
I came in and I taught communications because it's something that I was good at doing, and I was able to, make that information understandable to my students. But the part that I really, really love was the connection and the, like, oh my God, Miss Hervy, you get it. Are you understanding? It's not just understanding the student, but like saying, being that liaison, that medium that like, I get y'all, but I also get what they're trying to tell y'all. And this is
Yeah.
what it is. Cause some people miss that, like, where you have certain educators that they don't see the students as their age, I guess like 16, 17, 18, like these
Yeah.
are young adults.
Yeah.
They're not just babies or like clueless, students that don't have, any idea of what's going on. They do. They're fully aware. And I feel like it's a gift to be able to like understand them, but also be able to translate to them the things that are important for them to know. And that kind of pushed me into that counseling role, more so wanted to go into social emotional counseling and or college and career counseling.
It's definitely needed because some people that are in those positions may not be as open to like meeting the kid where they are.
Right.
So it's always good to have fresh people who are willing to like get to the level, come down to their level, you know what I'm saying, and teach them
Hmm.
and bring them along on the journey and not give up on them. So that makes me
Right.
extremely happy to know that we got another advocate in the building.
Woo!
Advocates in here.
That's right. I love my kids. I really
Yes.
do. And that's the thing, just knowing that I'll be able to take those difficult concepts, cuz just like them, I'm at Lancaster right now. And I know that regardless if I worked at Lancaster or somewhere else, that I know I'm naturally attracted to those areas that just like really normally they're like Title I schools or school districts where those kids really need some type of influence or someone there to
Yeah.
teach them those things. And a lot of them are probably coming from households where they're the first generation college student. And I think that was kind of like my own little baggage where it's like I didn't get help like that
Right.
when I was coming out. And so I'm like, if I can be that help, and I know we talked about your series and how it's called "If I Knew Then What I
What I
Know
know
Now," and
now.
it's like
Yep.
if I knew then what I knew now, then could have did things differently, and now I can insert myself in that position to be the one to share what I know and be able to help them with the things I didn't, to put them in a different position than I was. It didn't stop me from reaching towards success or even being what some would consider successful, but it still there was things that I could have done a little bit differently um if I would have known, if I would have had that help. So I'm happy to be able to be in that position to be able to offer it.
We would have been in less debt if we knew then what we know now.
Listen, because
Seriously.
when I read that, I was like, oh, I know the first thing I'm gonna say. The first thing is I would have applied for more scholarships and I would have took my behind to one of those community colleges
First,
first.
yes. I would have went there first. I think it's crazy.
Yes.
For real. I always say, I want to be who I needed when I was younger. Like I agree with everything you just said because like I told you, I'm a first gen too, and I'm like, man, if I needed a me. Back then,
Mhm.
I needed somebody like you back
Yes.
then.
And it's not that they didn't care. It's just I think as times changed, they realized how important it was because we were just applying for colleges that our friends were applying for. My college center consisted of brochures and like pick one to read about. And it's like I don't even know what I'm looking for, but I
Yeah,
mean, I guess I just want to go to a good school that has my major. But I'm so blessed and so happy that I did choose UTA to go to. But it's
so
like I
true.
didn't really have guidance in getting there. I just kind of went there on a limb to stay close to home and go somewhere that I knew that was going to offer me a good academic program,
Yeah.
not just any old school like UTA. Although it's close, a lot of people get it twisted. Their academics are on point,
Yes, they
and
are.
they ain't playing no games, and that's what I wanted. And I love that I was able to stay close to home, be close to my husband, be close to my mom. When I did my transition, that was important to me.
Yeah, UTA is definitely not for the weak.
Some people underrated because I'm like, y'all think close equals easy, and
Nah, UTA is a hidden gem. It's a
it's
hidden gem in real life because I mean, I didn't go to UTA at first. I should have just
mhm,
went ahead and went to UTA from the beginning, but I
yeah,
wanted to leave, so I went to Lamar University.
okay.
Um, and I love Lamar. I'm an honorary Cardinal. I don't care what
Mhm.
nobody say. But I love being a Maverick too. So
Yes.
um, I feel like UTA's education system is well respected, and we
Hmm.
earn those degrees.
Right. Correct. Correct.
They didn't give us nothing. So, I wanted to ask you, like, what made you go back to Lancaster? Like, did they want you to come back, or did you just choose that school because you love your school so much?
I would say a little bit of both. Like, I was when I started my alternative certification program because I want to insert this in there that I was in my last semester of college because a lot of students don't know that you can actually start your alternative certification program in the last 6 months of college because some
Okay.
people think they already have to have their bachelor's degree and this will just give you a leg up because if you're in the last semester if you started in the fall and you're graduating in the spring then for a lot of people, if you wait until after you graduate to try to do all that stuff, it puts you in a tough spot because you won't be finishing up until close to December,
Mhm.
November. And then it's like trying to find a job then is really, really difficult. So at the time, I was coming into my spring semester, I only had 2 classes left. So I was able to do my alternative certification program during that time where I went face to face, like I want to say I maybe did that like once a week for a
Okay.
certain amount of time, and then the other half of it was online. I went through A plus Texas teachers. Not a plug, just saying. In case you were wondering, I went to A plus Texas teachers, and I spent my last 6 months doing that. And in my last 6 months, I started reaching out to my mentor, who was at the time, she was one of my teachers and my cheer coach when I was there, Sonia Hamilton and when I was at Lancaster, and then at that time she had became like over time she became the chief of communication, but she was I think maybe the director of communication at the time. And I was talking to her, meeting with her, like, okay, hey, what's the next steps? Like I'm trying to figure out how to get in, into schools and stuff. And it naturally was like, why not start at home? Like, why not
Yeah.
start where I'm from? Like, these are, this is my community. So why wouldn't I want to do that? But at the same time, they were more than happy to like help me get on board there. They were like, oh, you want to like, come on in, we gonna take care of you. Like, and not that I didn't earn it. Like I did everything that I was supposed to do. Don't get that part twisted, but
Yeah.
it's just they were more than happy to like help me figure out like get my student teaching hours and all that good stuff. So it really wasn't a hard process. I didn't go through a lot of um, applying at different schools because I went there and it was like they already had me set up in April to be able to transition in. They were like, take your test, get highly qualified. And I was already highly qualified to teach there by the time I graduated from college. So all I need to do was produce my diploma, or degree. And
Mhm.
then that August, I signed my official paperwork and I started working there. And in that time in between, I was actually interning at the communications department.
You see, but the major key about all of that is you were utilizing your resources and you were making sure that you were nurturing your relationships. That's that's
Mhm.
that is a key. Like I feel
I
like
sure did.
most people think
Yes.
that network. Look, I have a problem with the word networking. I'm not gonna lie to you
Uh-huh.
because everybody is like kind of like watering it down. It's like they're like trying to just get to where they're trying to get. But I feel like if you focus on building relationships, you will
Mhm.
have long
It'll
lasting.
happen, and people will feel more inclined to with networking. Sometimes people know that you're using them
Yeah,
for that next step. So it's
yeah.
like the effort that goes into doing it is like, okay, I help you so much, but like I'm busy. But when it comes from like a mentor, someone that genuinely cares about you and knows your heart and knows the things that they don't mind putting their name in front of yours
They
to say
don't.
like, hey, this person is I'm a vouch for them, and I'm gonna say this person will do this, and I had that all the way around. I had so much support all the way up to like I think my previous principal was the superintendent over human resources at the time, and
Wow.
again it's not, now he's a superintendent over his own district, and so
Wow.
it's not that again I didn't earn these things, but these people knew me from previous. And I want to say this because I know that a lot of your audience is going to be young adults that watch this, and even other adults. But be like, pay attention to what you're doing now, even if you feel like I'm a high school student or I'm a college student. Nobody cares. Nobody's looking at me. Not until I get ready to be the professional that I want to be, then I can like switch it up. And it's like, had I been a different kind of student when I was in high school, that might have left a different kind of impression on people that would have, when I came back around, like, hey, I want to come work here. They would have like,
I remember you.
I remember you, but I don't think it was for what you want to be remembered for.
Mhm.
And so I think it was important when I was in high school. I always had a positive attitude. I was always like that chipper one, like, hey, I spoke to everybody. I would even principals, teachers, students. Like I just, I always just been a real jolly people person, and they remembered that about me. And I was a really, really good cheerleader. I was a captain of my team for from the time I was a sophomore to my senior year, and they remembered that about me too. So even when I came in to teach, I also was able to become a cheer coach at that time. They
Yeah.
were like, hey, so you about to do the cheer team, right? And I I was like, oh, okay, that's a bonus, but that wasn't really what I went there for. But everything just kind of stacked, and it happened. So I never really had a like normal teaching experience in terms of like start with your first year where you don't know anybody, you don't know nothing. I went back home and I knew everybody. I
Yeah.
was already, I was already connected, so I was already comfortable. I knew those hallways because it was my previous school. I was able to go in and even do something extra, which was coach cheer. And I was like, oh my God, like this is all it really just brewed into this like perfect concoction. And I was like, I love this. I really do. But naturally, a person like me, I tell Thomas all the time, my husband, that I just feel like I'm just never satisfied with are content. And it's not necessarily like I'm not happy when things happen for me, but it's like things that happened for me 2 and 3 years ago. It's like I'm like, okay, what's next? Like I
Mhm.
constantly push myself, and it's just in me to be like highly ambitious. So I just constantly go for different things. Even I made my New Year's resolutions this year. We did vision boards, and I was like, okay, I pretty much, I won't say I've accomplished all the things I want to accomplish, but there were goals. I made a vision board 5 years ago that was my 5 year vision board of the
Mhm.
things that I needed to get done. And it's like I checked off everything. And I was like, okay, sis, you now gotten to that point where everybody was like before 30, before 30, before 30. And it's like, okay, you go to school, you get yourself in a career before 30, you marry someone before 30, not just someone. I mean, I'm talking about the perfect one, but we'll talk about that later. But you marry, someone before 30, buy you a home and get your life started and all this stuff. And it's just like, okay, like, I gotta do all this, I gotta go to school. But it's like, okay, now I'm 30, like, what am I supposed to do? And nobody told me what happens after that. We don't have a counselor stage between like adult to adult. And
That's what
so
you
now,
call me, the life coach.
yep, you're life coach. And so that's where I was just like, okay, what type of goals am I setting for myself now? Like, what are we looking at now? And one of the things that I said, I was like, I want to discover a new talent.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on this earth for 30 years. I have several. I do graphic design, I do hair. I'm
Mm-hmm.
highly creative. So it's like you bring me something, I can make it work. I'm very and I know Thomas just gets on his nerves sometimes because he's like, I'm the man, just let me do it. But I love tinkering. I
Yeah.
like if something is broken, I'm like, I fix it. I'll go out there, I'll figure it out. He's like, let me do it. I'm like, I just love those things naturally. Like I don't it's not that I don't think you can do it. It's just I want to see if I'm able to do it. I'm a problem solver. So I love doing stuff like that. But I said I wanted to learn a new, like discover new talent, something I'm able to do. And I think it's kind of random, but something I've always wanted to do was I want to design a dress.
Yes,
Like, you know how people design prom dresses and design different things? It's like,
I can
I
see
don't
that.
necessarily want to dive into fashion design. I just want to see if I can do it. And like if I'm good at it, then it's like go further. But it's like something that has always been just interesting to me. I'm like, wow, because I'm really creative. And I used to draw clothes and stuff. Like I
Mm-hmm.
used to draw girls and like draw different designs. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do that. You know, and it's just learning how to sew and then learning how to do your measurements and everything, and then buying those materials and put together. So that's something I think I'm gonna just like try as a little project on the side. Nothing major, but just over time, I want to design a really cool dress.
I think you can definitely do it. And I want to say something about you having that feeling every 2 to 3 years. You're just discovering your pattern. Like honestly, everyone has a different pattern. For me, it's every 3 years. I'm trying to like elevate to a new level every 3 years. And it's something that naturally happens because
Yeah,
I feel like it's God just saying, all right, let's go. Like,
yeah, you know,
it could be
because it's
something.
like I have an ultimate and divine purpose for you, and but I want you to enjoy your moments because you know, I put
Yeah.
those little milestones in place for you to like be
Yep.
proud of what you're doing, but no, it's a little bit more I need you to do. It's a
Yeah.
little you ain't quite there yet. Let me keep pushing you because I want you to get comfortable. And it's like some people, everybody's purpose is different
Yeah,
and everybody's
definitely.
direction is different. I'm like, I don't know what I'm meant to do. I know the direction. I actually said, I know this sounds so crazy, but I was like sitting down. I was like, well, actually, I was laying down and I was like, I'm going to discover my purpose tonight. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna make a graphic organizer and like look at all the things that I do
Hmm.
really, really well naturally. And I'm gonna put a circle in the center and figure out what my purpose is. And I didn't get around to doing it, but I'm still I'm still gonna do it. But I was like, I didn't discover it that night because I think I was just up being like a little, you know how you just start researching, doing different things. I'm like, really, really no, you can't discover your purpose overnight. But that was one way I was thinking that's something that I may want to look at, like, what is it? Why is it that even at this point, even after thinking like, okay, the ultimate goal is to become a counselor, and I haven't got into my work yet. And so I think
Yeah.
that's gonna be, you know, once I get into that work, then it's like, okay, oh yeah, now I know what I'm into. Oh, okay.
You'll
And then as
discover
I
it
get
then.
deeper, but I haven't quite gotten into it yet, but I'm like real curious. I'm like, oh God, what are you doing?
Mhm.
Like, and not in a bad way, but just like, cause you keep pushing me further than what I think that I can go. Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
Uh,
okay, this is the highest because our family thinks I'm doing good. So okay, like this is it. And it's like a little bit more, got a little bit extra for you. So
Yep.
yeah, I just let him lead and kind of go with that. And
Yeah,
this is the direction. This is where I've landed right now.
you'll definitely discover your purpose. Like the more things that you do and like be exposed to, you'll discover it. Because I personally feel like your purpose is your why. It's like why you're here on this earth, and then your passions are
Mhm.
all the different avenues that you display that purpose in, or like deliver that purpose. So I think the
Mhm.
more you do different things, the more you'll start discovering. Like I feel like I'm actually here to do this,
Yes,
just in
I
these
know
different
it's
realms.
something, and I'm not really, I've never been like, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to be a millionaire, or I want to, like their biggest thing is like, of course, we want to have the biggest and the best. And I'm like, no, my passion doesn't come from money. Money comes to me, because of the things that I do, and I have different talents and things, but it's not something I've ever chased. I've
Yeah,
never been like, well, I can't say I'm not career driven, but it's not, I'm not career driven for money. Like
right.
I feel like there is something in me that that I need to get to others. And that's what I'm like constantly trying to figure out. And I'm like, is it influence? Is it just naturally I like solving other people's problems? But it's not, even as a counselor, you're not solving problems. You're
Mm-mm.
helping other people learn how to solve theirs. And I feel like in life I kind of have formed, I won't say a philosophy, but like maybe in my mind of just how I do things. It's like I want other people to be able to understand that your life is really dictated by you. Your life and
Yeah,
the things that you do, it's like it's all in your mindset. I want to teach other people that and give them
yep,
that, and teaching them how to deal with their own stuff, so you don't have to seek out others necessarily for your problems, maybe to help you with clarity, but like not thinking that someone else is going to solve it. So really giving people the tools they need. But I think I definitely feel like just solutions, problem solving, influencing,
hmm
um encouraging others, it's somewhere in there. I'm gonna find it soon,
you're
or
gonna
I might
find it.
spend my whole life finding it. That might be the purpose of life, is to spend your whole life trying to find your purpose. So
Yeah,
we'll
it
see.
might be. It was like I felt like I know my purpose is to help people, but I think this past year I realized that one thing that I pinpointed is I'm a sparker. Like I know I'm a person that help people start. So
Mhm.
I think that's definitely a part of my purpose. And it's
Yeah.
like it's an added piece onto what I already knew. That's why I say you're
Every
gonna
puzzle, it's
discover it.
like that's so interesting as we talk. It's kind of like when I think of like a rat race or something, like when the show Rat Race, and it's
Hmm
like they give you something, and it's like life is like this big scavenger hunt of trying to
hmm
find your purpose, and like each stage of your life is revealing a different piece, and you're
Yep.
trying to like put it together, and by the time you get to a certain point in your life, you can kind of somewhat see the picture, but it's not completed yet, but it's
Yep.
like you've collected enough stuff to find the picture, and you're like, oh god.
Oh.
Oh, when you go back, yeah, that, so when you said that, it just kind of, that's interesting. So I
Makes
guess we
sense.
probably will be chasing this, but I really want to like do what I was put here to do. Like, and I found me and my husband, and I know you also contributed, Trina, and I want to say thank you so much. But we do the Swerve on Them toy drive every year,
Yeah.
and a part of that, not just getting the toys, but a part of that is going to the actual places to go deliver them and hearing from the different people. And we spoke to this guy. I don't know his first name, but I know his name is, well, actually, his first name may be Charles. I don't know if his last name is, but his name is Mr. Charles. And he was at the Promise House in Dallas. And as he was talking to me about what the Promise House does in terms of like providing home and shelter for people who need it for like certain situations, not just people, they may mainly focus on women,
hmm
women with children, things like that, to provide like a safe haven for them. But it was just so much more that they do. And like, it was young ladies that had been like even in sex trafficking and stuff like that, like providing something for them, somewhere for them to go. But
hmm
so I don't want to give up too much information because I don't know, what they try to keep private or not. But
hmm
as he was talking, I was like, okay, I feel something there. I feel
hmm
something brewing there with like, okay, this work is like, now I kind of got a direction or somewhere where not just in that place, but like, okay, women, that's kind of a big thing for me. And not in, and I guess I won't say that I am a feminist or I'm not a feminist because I don't really know. I just want everybody to win. Like that's
Yeah.
where I'm at. But I understand that a part of that is like, making sure that we all have equal rights. And in that way, I guess I would be considered a feminist. But is just that female empowerment and
Yeah.
really like teaching women like strength or like helping them. Like I know that's somewhere or part of me that's passionate about that.
Yeah. I mean, and naturally because you are a woman, so you know what our plight is. So
Yeah.
I think I mean, keep diving into that and try to figure out where you want to go with it.
Mhm.
I wanna ask you, like, how is it having a partner there that supports you? Like, how is it being married to somebody you've known for freaking half your life? That's insane.
OMG.
That
Oh
is
my God,
crazy
we
to
are
me.
at that point now. 13
Yeah,
years out of 30. That's almost half.
I
Yeah.
mean, pretty much.
Wow. I'm gonna have to let him know that. But and that's crazy. Like the fact that I didn't really realize it because the time just kind of flies, but it is the best feeling. It is, and I think that part of me is content in love of just like we always talk about how we believe we found a secret.
Yeah,
Like this is what life is about. Like it's hidden within that feeling that you get when, and I don't think it just comes from the love of a spouse. It's just l- like giving love and receiving love and becoming love is like what it ultimately, is the biggest thing like to me. And that in that space I am very like happy and very like thankful and blessed and grateful that like God just, I'm like, I don't say why me because I'm like, why not me? But at the same time, like I didn't necessarily have my father growing up. And it wasn't that he wasn't like he was gone or something. Well, he was, but it wasn't like he didn't have access to us. He just, I understand now. He was just in a space in life where he was trying to figure himself out. And him and
mhm,
my mom, they weren't necessarily one of them type co-parents, and so they just had too many differences and had went through so much that it was just hard for them to be able to work together to
yeah,
raise us. So it's just like, hey, we gonna let this parent do it. And I love my mom. I love how I was raised. I love everything about my upbringing. But I just always felt like that I would think that that would have like a huge impact on me, but it just like in a way where it would make me like not want to pursue relationships or like carry some type of baggage into it. But it's
yeah,
just like always something I didn't feel like I was ever missing love because my mom loved us enough for everybody. Like
yeah,
she poured a lot in, and not just my mama, but like my family is just like that. We're tight knit. But it's like I had that, and it's like I when I left out the home, it's like I wanted to continue to have that. Like I
yeah,
wanted to be able to share that. And Thomas came from the same type of setting. Like he comes from a loving family and like where they have long lasting relationships and people are together, and not just together to be together, but like real love. And so both of us coming from that, I think we just really want like wanted that for each other. We just kind of pour into each other. It's just like, okay, you, all right, you. It just is like back and forth thing. But we really take care of each other in terms of, like you said, support and different things. And it makes all the difference in the world because like as I was going through my master's program, I remember when I went to so Thomas works out all the time. I watch him work out all the time.
I
But
watch him.
he works out all the time. And I remember we went to 24-hour fitness and I told the guy he was trying to get me to like get a membership and I was like, sir, no, I'm in school and I just already know me. I gotta focus on one thing at a time or whatever. And so he was like, oh yeah, you a master. I remember when my wife was getting her master's and it was hard on us and it almost like, drew a wedge in us between our marriage and our stuff. And I was like,
Wow,
oh my God, like that really happens to people because your mind
wow,
is so on what you gotta do and you're so tired and you're so exhausted that you would think like, okay, your partner would somewhat start feeling neglected, or start feeling like, and what he did was he didn't want me to stress about feeling like he was being neglected or anything like that. He just found positive ways to fill in that time and to also support me. Like, okay, while you studying for school, I'm gonna read.
yeah,
Or while you, doing it, it's just things that like made me feel more at ease and things that helped me in a healthy way to like be like okay, and it was being an encouragement as opposed to coming to sit on the side of me, sitting back, kicking back, like, are you done yet? Are you finished? Like, can I get some love? It was just like he completely understood that this was something that was important to me and important for us in terms of
Yeah.
our household because it's going to be, lead to growth, especially, career wise. So, I think having that support system, even from my mom, even from my family members, of everybody, just it meant everything. So definitely is good. Even if you don't have, because I know some people, everybody's not in a relationship, everybody's not, doesn't have a significant other. And really it's not just about my husband doing it, but it's about my friend doing it. Like he's
Mhm.
my friend and my husband. He just happens to be the same people. But when like get you a group of people around you that are gonna be like go fight win in all aspects of your life, and you can still be fulfilled in that sense and be like that support will still carry you. Cause I had like my friends, they like you got this. Like, yes, you represented for us. And I'm the big sister out of my friend group. And
Mhm.
so they just constantly they looking at me like, okay, finish. So that means I'm like, it can be done. All right, this how we do it. And then
It
we
can be
just
done.
like, let me show you how, okay, this is it. And we help kind of pull each other up like that. But it really starts with you, like kind of like I receive that kind of love because I give that kind of love.
Yep.
So just knowing that's important too, or that support, I give that kind of support to other people.
Yeah.
So,
I love to see to me, I love to see love, like true love. It makes me
mm,
happy to know that it exists. No, for real. Like you
yeah,
mentioned that like not having a father in the household can sometimes like harm you mentally because you're like,
yeah.
I don't know
Does
if I
it
want
is
to do
it
that.
possible? Does it happen?
Right.
See, I think I was raised. This is the thing. I have a Pisces mom, and I don't know if y'all are into zodiacs or not, but my Pisces mom is like a hopeless romantic. So, like,
Aw.
even though she was divorced, it's like she's still gonna watch y'all every Christmas. She's
Yes.
still gonna watch all her little Christmas
My
romance
mama too.
movies, and still, I grew up. So other people grew up watching like Boys in the Hood. My mama had me watch the other sister about love. And so that was kind of where my visual of like, okay, I want this one day. Like this is gonna be so, so exciting. This is okay, this is what you're doing. I've always been a person. I don't necessarily have to go through stuff to learn
Yeah.
from it. I can
Yeah.
watch other people go through something and I'll say, okay, so note to self, I need to do this like this. Maybe okay, that failed over there. So maybe let me see why that didn't work. And then I can reconfigure stuff in my head. That problem solving part of me that I was telling you about, it's like I can be like, okay, so if I'm ever in a relationship, so right now I'm not a mom.
Mhm.
I'm we don't have kids, but at
Y'all
some
have fur
point,
babies though.
I know, right? But at some point when we do have a kid, it's like I've already like I watch people and it's not in a judging way. It's just like I'm watching and I'm learning from mothers around me, from other people that I see, and I'm like, okay, so note to self, whenever I get ready to do this, like I might try it this way because I'm seeing that. And it's not saying that one way is gonna fit for like because it didn't work with this person, it wouldn't work with my. I'm just like kind of taking mental notes, and I've always been like that. So even though like my mom, and her relationship with my dad didn't work, I didn't look at that like, oh my God, my relationship could never work. I looked at it
Yeah.
like, why didn't it work? What happened with you guys that could have possibly caused y'all to be, and it was y'all weren't friends first,
Yep.
y'all like liked each other and y'all was with each other, but it's just like because your friend, ain't gonna treat you a certain type of way. And it's like that part was always important to me in having that friendship first. And the thing, I think the best thing that my mom could have did for us was walking away from a situation that wasn't conducive, for her, because that taught me a whole nother
Yeah.
part of me, which I can tell you about my relationship, which was independence and strength.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that what's important to your kid is that you stay in a relationship with someone so that they can grow up in a household with a completed family. But sometimes it's not. that's not really the message that your kid is absorbing or taking. It's that you, as they get older, you stay with somebody that wasn't respecting you and treating you well. So I
Yep.
should stay with somebody that's not respecting me and treating me well. And that's not, that's not okay. And what I learned from my mom's experience, and I try to take positive lessons from, the experiences that I see and that I go through, is that if something is, if that's not for you, like, you need to get yourself, you need to know when to leave.
Yeah.
Don't accept certain things like that. And so now I know that, but it's even beyond that. I was taught independence. So even though me and Thomas have been in our relationship for almost 13 years and we've been together, we still function. It's like, if I had to describe it, we used to say that we're like braided together, like, or twisted together. So we're together, but we're still individuals that are twisted together.
Yep.
Or if I was to describe us like in a lane, we're both on bikes, and we're riding our own bikes, but we're holding each other's hand, and
Yeah.
we're going in the same direction with each other, but we're not, my life is not his life. We're not on the same bike. We're not in the same boat, but we support each other going through our life together. And I think some people get lost in the idea of love and thinking that love means that y'all have to become one in a way of, like, I guess, melting your lives together. And
Mhm.
ours is more like just like putting our lives together and
Yeah.
operating like that. And it works for us because, like I said, I got that independent spirit from my mama that I learned, like, hey, I don't care how great things are going, how wonderful things are going. You need to be able to take care of you.
Yeah.
And when everybody takes care of themselves, they're able to take care of others. And that ultimately worked because, I focus and take care of me, and he takes care of me. And he focuses and takes care of him, and I take care of him. And it just allows us to constantly, we're making each other happy, but making ourselves happy. And we're able to make each other happy because we're making ourselves happy.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know what makes you happy if you didn't take care of you first. You cannot pour
Right.
from an empty cup. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So
But listen, I just made a post today. I said, oh, let me look at it real quick. I just said this, and you hit it dead on the nail. Like, you can't pour from an empty cup, but that's hard. I said, some of the simplest concepts are the hardest to grasp, and at times even harder to practice. And when you said, like, everybody doesn't get that they can't pour from an empty cup. Some people feel like they will, I can find it when once I get it from someone else, or once
mm,
I, like, give whatever I do have to someone else, then I will be able to find it. And it's like, no, you have to first have love within you for
yep,
yourself. Then you're able to give it to the next person. Then ultimately together everyone becomes love. Like, everything around you becomes love.
yep.
But people don't figure that out. They think they're going to get it from somebody else, and they're waiting on someone else to pour into them. And you really have to have love for yourself first.
Yeah, you definitely do. You have to be as whole as you can be. That's
And I
why
think oh, go
what'd you say?
ahead.
No, go ahead. What'd you say?
I picked up on that, like, early in life. I always had a love for me. I was always happy, and
Mm,
not just happy for no reason. I guess I was, but it just, like, I just knew I had support and love, and that around me, that I didn't need anything else. I didn't need anybody to tell me I was beautiful. I didn't need anybody to tell me that I was this and that, because my family was just like Team Brittney from the start. I used to, when I was in kindergarten and stuff, I won like art awards and stuff, and they would make big deals out of it. They'd be like, "You won, like, this girl, like, we gonna do," they cheering for me, happy for me. I'm like, I did good. Okay. And I just, you keep going, and it's just like, and they build up that confidence for you. So
yeah,
I was confident as a kid. So I
yeah,
didn't, by the time I got to seventh grade and eighth grade and stuff, I didn't need nobody to really tell me, like, oh, you that girl or whatever. I didn't even realize that people paid attention to me like that until I got in like the eighth grade, and I was at our little eighth grade prom, and they called my name up there to go for prom queen, eighth grade prom queen nominee, and I was like,
what?
y'all sure? Like me? Like, I don't even know
Right.
who, I'm like, I don't even talk. Like, I mean, I talk to everybody, but I just didn't realize. I was so in my bubble and so in my world, and live with, like, my mindset is like me and my family, that I didn't realize that other people pay attention. Even now, it's like I'm all about me and my family, like me and
Yeah.
my husband. Anybody tell you they see you, I mean, they say see me, they gonna see him, or it's like I just seem like I'm in my own bubble, and it's like I really am a lot of the times just in because my mind is just so focused on what I have to get done here, so I can be able to extend out to other people. And
Yeah.
but I don't realize how many people like I get feedback. I'll run into somebody and they'll be like, "Hey, girl," like I said, I'm like, really? Like I didn't even know you followed me. I didn't even know we were friends, and not in a negative way, but just like I didn't know I had an impact on you, from my bubble. But it's like
Yeah.
I do. And I think that's something else me and Thomas have talked about in terms of purpose is like to inspire
Yeah.
others. We don't even realize that, like, just by loving each other, that is such an inspiration to other people. And it's like all we're doing is just doing what is natural
Being
for
us.
us. Yeah, it's just,
Yep.
and when I tell you we really be in here, we laugh every day. Like it is comedy in this house every day. And it's not that I don't want anybody to think that it doesn't come with any like hiccups or any like we've been through, a whole lot of different things, but
Hmm.
it's not it's all in your mindset because I said this before, like maybe I would say 2 weeks before we got married, and this had nothing to do with our relationship, but 2 weeks before we got married, my car got broken into.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, I can't believe my car got broken into, but like my mindset could have been like, this is the worst. I got to come off all this money. And that's like, all I could think about was like how God was going to bless me from this situation.
Yeah.
And it's like the way my mind is programmed, it's not programmed to really process negativity.
Yeah.
So even when we go through negative experiences, they don't process like that to me. So it maybe that's why I don't wear that. If we've been through something, it's like we're not wearing that energy because we haven't really practiced processing negative energy. It kind of like it hits us and it's like, woo, that was bad. And then it just bounces off like, okay, that's done. That's it. But it happens. It's just the mindset that I guess that shields it. It's like we're not set up like that. Like God
Yeah.
didn't program us like that to think that that those things can really have a long lasting impact on us. And
Yeah.
so I think your mindset is very, very important
It's
in
extremely
terms of you
important.
being able to be successful.
Yeah. It's extremely important because at the end of the day, like if you do not have a strong mindset or if you're not confident in your mindset, you will fall for every little trick, every
Hmm.
little like booby trap laid out for you, you'll
Yeah.
fall. So
Yes. And and sometimes they will really be working, and I'd be sitting there laughing because I'd be like, ooh, now you do not know. Like that's where you get it twisted because you forget, devil, that I'm God's favorite. And so he
yeah.
don't play them games when they come to me. Like I'm gonna look at you and laugh like, oh yeah, you tried it. That was a good one. Maybe tried to get me on a bad day, but it's like rare. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be all right. And that's where my quote comes back in. Everything works out in the end. If it hasn't worked out yet, then it isn't the end. So when I'll constantly think about that. So I'm like, oh, well, it's not the end yet. It's gonna work out. So
Yep. That's a
next.
mantra. That's a mantra for you. Well,
Yeah.
I have a few more questions for you.
Okay.
So how do you define success and happiness?
Oh. I think that success is for me never gonna quite be defined yet because it's really gonna come from when I like die. Did I die happy? Did I die fulfilled?
Mhm.
And that's where my success will come from. Like I guess minor like milestone success. Like I get happy, but even like Thomas will tell you, like things are happening. Like I graduated or I passed, and I'll be like, yay! And then I just like kind of like go like I'm happy, but I'm like, why do I not know how to be like just extremely like okay? But it's just like because my journey is never really done until it's over, and that's how I'll know. I guess when my legacy is what will tell you if I was successful or not.
Yeah.
But I don't know that yet. I'm just aiming toward it. I'm just going toward it. my idea of what success is, and that's me doing all the things that I've ever wanted to do in my lifetime. And as far as being happy, that just comes from within. Like I define it by just the feeling of just joy within me, like being happy to be me, being proud of myself, and not just my accomplishments, but my character and the person I am. The way
Yeah.
I'm at my happiest when like someone tries me, and it's like I manage that situation in a way that I'm proud of. I'm like, they thought they had it. No. Because
Not
I'm gonna
today.
do it with a smile. I'm gonna put a bow on it, and I'm at my happiest when I'm like, "You did that, girl. You did that. You didn't let them." That's happy to me. Those feelings, like that inner feeling of just I'm proud of myself and who I am, what I'm doing, how I'm loving, and then outside of that, I guess I would say the exterior things that like contribute to that.
Okay. So tell me, what's your biggest takeaway from 2020? Because that was a hell of a year.
It was. It was. It helped me a lot though.
Yeah,
But it
me
was
too.
a very tough year. I guess it showed me that resilience, our
Hmm.
ability to be able to like kind of like bounce back from myself is more like I feel adaptable to
Hmm.
anything. Like I didn't feel like I missed a beat because I'm able to adapt to changes like that. Everybody can adapt to change, but I
They
feel
can, they don't choose to. They
yeah,
can.
they're just like, no, I don't want I still got kids. It's 2021 now. We've been in online learning since September, and I still got kids that say I can't do this online learning stuff. I'm like, what?
Boy,
How
girl.
can you not? Like it's what like at this point you either do it or you don't do it. You on here with me, you're doing it. But
Yeah.
it's like adaptability and having that flexibility, like allowing yourself to be able to like just be open to like change, it really does go a long way. But
Does.
I think that was the biggest thing that I took away. It's just so many different, like it would depend on what aspect, because there was
Hmm.
so many like political, things going on. There were like personal things going on because you had time for self-care, you had time for reflection, you had time to, to look at yourself and really dissect and say like, wow, it was a huge reset button in a way,
Yes,
and
it was.
it exposed a lot of different things about ourselves, about our country, about the people around us. Because as time went by and you couldn't hang out with your friends or you couldn't club with your friends, then you start realizing like, oh, and I'm not saying me, but I'm just saying like, oh, that's all I'm really good for to you. It's just,
Yeah.
you only want to be around me when we having fun, but like you don't even call and check on me. I never realized that until we weren't going out. Because when you was calling, it seemed like every week, but it was just to, hit the club out somewhere and do something else. So I think it just exposed a lot. But I really didn't I won't say I was impacted by it, but it just kind of just was more like teaching and learning for me, like just learning a lot about myself
Yeah.
and everything going on.
It was a lot going on, but I definitely agree with you. Like, I think God definitely paused the world, like Beyonce paused the world when she
The world stopped.
when the world stopped because of the album. But I really do
Yes.
think that God used 2020 as a reset for all of us. And although it was some dark moments and we lost a lot of people, I do feel like He was giving us a chance to like get it together. Like,
Hmm.
come on,
And
get it
even
together.
now with stuff going on, people are like, I'm already losing hope for 2021 because of how it started. I'm like, no,
No.
when you see that right there, that is the peak of the storm. That is
Yep.
like the moment when you're clenching on for dear life for something that you know is about to change. People don't do
Yep.
that when they think, you know what I mean? When they think that everything is gonna be okay. This is when you know that something is about to change. This is the hardest fight, even in a relationship. When
Yeah.
you know that person is they about to be out the door, or we about to be that's the hardest fight because you know that this is your last ditch effort before
Yep.
real, something changes and something happens. And it's like it is this is a storm, but we're about to come out of it. And the worst part of it is getting ready to be over. And so, and I'm not just
Yep.
speaking in terms of like, oh, we get a new president, so our problems are over. But I think that just watching that take place and everyone being able to watch the things that are going on,
Mhm.
it really has put people in a space of like, this, regardless of color, regardless of race, regardless of whatever, it cannot stay like this.
It can't.
It's just, we reached a peak of like ridiculousness
Yeah,
in
we
this country.
have. I
It was
will.
like, it cannot get much worse than this. We have to do something different.
Yeah, and I think we showed that through voting.
Hmm.
And I think it's crazy. Like everything has literally been reset, and I'm like, you have to look for those slivers of hope, the light,
And it
because it's in there. You see
it
it. It's
helped so
happening.
much, even in our Congress, like even in our Senate and even in our House.
Yeah.
It was like impossible for some of them to come see eye to eye. But like recently, even when it came to this stimulus, even when it
Yep.
came to certain things, people have just started, like not even people, but within the House and the Senate, they've started being like, "No, we got to work together on this." And
We
they
have
probably would
to.
have never even came to that conclusion had we not had the president that we had, or had we
Yep.
not had the situation that we had. So we had to kind of go through these things in order to see, and you got to know that God like is in control.
Yep.
Even when it feels out of control, he's in control. So anything that's happening is happening because it's supposed to.
Yep.
Now it doesn't mean that he, even though he may know the destiny, or he may know like the design, doesn't mean that he is controlling it in terms of like, okay, that person's gonna die. This is like, he knows that was your, like that was gonna be your destiny, but I gotta let things play out the way they will, because I know what the ultimate thing is
Yeah.
supposed to be. And so I just kind of, I guess when you had your faith, I did go closer to God.
Yeah.
I will say that in my time, and but I've always had that. It's interesting. I didn't grow up in the church. My mom was Catholic growing up, and after she had the option when she like, I guess, became an adult on her own, she just kind of chose not to necessarily. And it's not that she was against going to church. It just was something. I don't know what her experience was, but she just kind of wasn't really big on like going. Like it wasn't something we were forced to do. I had to kind of seek it out myself. But she would go if she was invited. And but my mom always carried herself as a Christian woman. Like my mom
Yeah.
doesn't cuss, she don't like drink, she don't do nothing. Like, girl, just so love it, everything she's supposed to be. But it's just like, she's not one of those ones that's just in the church. So I had to seek it out growing up, and a lot of it came from within. Like I have more of a spiritual relationship. It's not connected to like now I'm a Christian woman, but it's my spirituality is still feels like not so much connected, or my values are Christian values, but
Yeah.
I'm not so much connected to religion, or not so much connected, because I didn't have that. But over time, I'm like, if you invite me to church, I'm gonna be there. If
Yeah.
and I still love to hear the word, and all of those things. But I learned that my relationship with God is one that we have
It's most
with each,
important.
and it's grown stronger and stronger and stronger. So
We are the church though.
yeah,
So you're fine. We are the church for real. I
yes,
mean that with my whole heart. So
hmm,
everybody gets so hung up on that, but that we ain't gonna even get into that.
yeah, girl, we ain't.
We ain't gonna get into that.
Because it could, that conversation to go on and on and on. But
Yeah,
ultimately, having a spiritual relationship with God and having faith is
the
big, because
most
everybody also that's in that situation, it doesn't, just because you're there doesn't necessarily mean that you have made that spiritual connection.
yeah.
So that's the piece of it that's the most essential part of your relationship with Him.
You need to make sure he knows who you are and you need to know who he is and who you
Hmm.
are in him. So
Exactly.
that's the most important thing.
And when you do, because you become Him.
Yeah, you do.
It
Even
just
it's
oozes
hard
from you.
though. Look, I'm
You
not gonna
glow.
say it's not hard because sometimes people will try you. You got to be like, oh, what would Jesus do?
Try Jesus, but
Not
don't try me.
for real. That's the hardest part. You have to display his ways. Like it's not always easy, but it's about the effort.
Hmm.
So yeah. Well, you already answered my last question earlier. If you knew then what you know now, would you change anything? But if you want to answer it again, you can. But
Okay.
just in the whole realm of everything, if you knew then what you know now, would you change anything?
Um, in certain aspects of life, is would I change it? When it comes to school, those things I would have pursued more scholarships. I would have paid closer attention to when people talked about debt. I
Mhm.
heard it, I understood that it was happening, but I didn't understand like the true impact because all I knew was that I'm getting money to, go to school. I know I'm gonna have to pay it back, but I'm not really like the concept of that just wasn't really processing there. It was just like, oh, I'm over back sometime in my life.
Mhm.
But then it's like I get older and it's like, oh, okay, they on you, they sending you stuff, but you still, just you pay it off eventually or get them what you can or whatever. But the hold on. But the real thing that I learned was when it really hit me was when we went to buy our first home, that's when reality hit that like,
Mhm.
oh, they wasn't playing about our loans. Like they really I thought they was just gonna ignore that because everybody got them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like everybody has these, so like, and everybody else has homes, so like that can't be like a huge determining factor. But oh, baby, you better believe it. Your debt to income ratio is
Yeah.
like, so even though you might feel like, oh, what we, 6-figure couple, like all this kind of stuff, we should be good, and then it's like, no,
Mhm.
because you got a 6-figure debt. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not saying I'm not saying that's exactly our situation, but it's like where you think you may be here when it comes to debt. I mean, not debt, but like your income, your debt is eating up that. So you really,
Mhm.
it's an illusion of what you think you have versus what you
What you
owe
have.
and how people
Mhm.
see it. And so I would have definitely paid closer attention to that. Went for more scholarships. Went to maybe a community college. At the time, community colleges weren't getting love like that. It was
Mhm.
more something that you did if you didn't go to a university or if you wanted to stay close to home. It was kind of like, oh, that's my last option.
Yeah.
But it really should be taught to people as a first option, and that's why I'm glad now that we have like the Dallas County. They have the Dallas County Promise now,
Mhm.
where like I know at our school we have all our students sign up. And basically, if your parents make like a certain amount of money, it's kind of like the Maverick Promise. I don't know if you were familiar with that, but if
Mhm.
your parents make a certain amount of money or under a certain amount, then you can go to school for free or tuition free. And it like that to me should be like heavily publicized.
Yeah.
I think we've put more emphasis on the college experience, which is to me equally as important. But we've put so much emphasis on that we made it more important than making sure that we graduate financially healthy.
Yeah.
Even to the point where they put these fancy apartments at these universities, and it's like that these students really can't afford this. A lot of them really can't afford it, but because that they're getting money back from financial aid or they're getting a certain amount based on their housing, you're going to put these around them knowing that this is really not affordable housing. This is
Yeah.
really, if you think about the fact that you were living in, and I'm gonna have to use UT as an example,
Yeah.
but if you know that you were living at like Midtown, or that you were living at I don't remember the name of it, the other one that was over there by the Mac, like up.
Oh
So
yeah.
anyway, but if you were living in one of those nice ones and you were paying $600 for just
Whew.
your one room of your 4 bedroom, do you not realize you were paying $2,400 a month for a
Uh-uh.
full apartment?
Not including electricity because I lived in Maverick's place and you know,
But
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We were just thinking about ourselves, but I'm like, do you not see how they're winning off of that? And they know, and it's not just about them winning off of it, but it's like you get there and it's like that experience, all of that is being more emphasized in the fact that when you leave here after having all those things, because I didn't accumulate any debt my freshman year. I stayed in Lipscomb. and I was able to afford that,
Yeah.
but then it was pushed in my face that like, yeah, you gotta live like this if don't have a certain amount of money. Or like, and you're gonna make that more glamorous. And I'm not saying they did it on purpose. I don't know, how, of course people want to live nice, but it's like now I'm like, oh, I want to live in KC Hall. But I
Yeah.
had to find other ways to be creative. So I was a peer academic leader, not for that reason, but it allowed me to be able to go with the stipend. And
Oh,
I found ways to do that, but it's still like other students who, I don't want to stay in Trinity if I can have the option of staying in this nicer apartment, or like, dang, if everybody gonna be looking at me a certain way. And it just to me is a setup for you to put yourself in a less financially healthy situation when you graduate. Yes, you got your paper.
absolutely.
Yes, you got all these things, but now it's like I also graduated with debt. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize how big that was until I was out of school. So, and I'm not saying, because some people will be like, yeah, college is a scam. College is what you make it. It was not a scam for me. But it is just set up to me. College is set up to be the real world
Yeah.
and be like the real world. And that's what the real world is like. You know what I mean? That is what it said from every aspect.
Mhm.
Even the whole like, hey, if you don't make a certain amount of money, like you ain't, or if you don't live a certain way, then you're feeling less than, because it's just like, dang, everybody else got it. So it set us up for that, but you got to know to watch for that kind of stuff. And as a
Mhm.
kid, we weren't really taught that. It's just I see this, so I want it. Now I'm taking up extra loans so that I can go live like that. And now when I'm adult, I gotta live like Trinity.
All over
You know
again.
what I
All
mean? It's
over
just like
again.
it just like pay close attention to that. Like with my kids, I would say, like even with my own child, I did all of this. And my mindset used to be like, yes, Thomas, we got to do this. So when we have a kid, we can show them like, get your degree, go out there, you can get your master's and stuff. But like, I love that we went through that. It will show them that, but I'm gonna also make sure that like I took from that experience to know like, hey, don't get so caught up, because I hear so many people that say I should have went to college.
Mhm.
But then people who go to college, it's kind of like we don't really talk about, or some people do, but we don't really talk about how even though we went, is there was things to that too. There we actually are on the same playing field now, because I
Yeah.
know people who for housing qualified the same as us, because even though we make this, we got debt that put us here. And even though they didn't go to school, they went and got them a job that put them here. Now
Yep.
we're on the same playing ground, but I got debt and you don't. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? I might have more opportunities because of my education, but we're here now that school is over. It's
Yep.
like the route is still the same, and it's interesting because if you play the game of life, it's the same thing. If you've ever played the board game Life, they say go to college route, and then they say we're gonna take out an X amount of money, and
Mhm.
you start with less money because you went the college route, or you can go straight to your career, and maybe your career options are lower, but it's like ultimately we end up on that same little stop, and then we're playing,
Yep.
dump the person throughout the game. So I would just say now, like, don't be afraid to go to a community college. Don't think that your only options are to just go to these big universities. The first 2 years are truly the same in terms of your basics, in terms of
Basics.
you getting that out the way. And really, if you really want to win, and you're in high school, if you really, really want to win, take dual credit. They
Yes.
offer it from sophomore year now all the way up to senior year. That's the real win, because your school is paying for it. It's free. Don't undermine those classes though, because you might be a sophomore and you're in a college class and you think, oh, I'm a sophomore. They know it's gonna be hard for me. So if I don't pass this class, then I can just do away with that grade. And it's like, no, you're showing your college transcript now. It's gonna follow you now.
Mhm.
And so don't just take them just because, but at the same time, if you know that you can do academically well in them, and you feel like you can do academically well in them, go ahead and knock those out. That's going to be your biggest win.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest advocate for like, I guess it would be considered the same thing, but I see like they have like early college, high schools and stuff. And I support that. I do. If it's for that student, I support it. But I think that is also important to experience your freshman and sophomore year of college.
Mhm.
for several reasons. And I think when you go to school and you graduate with an associate's, then it's kind of like you're coming in as a junior.
Yep.
So you and junior year is really where it gets real.
Yeah.
And senior year is like, you know what I mean? Like you're everything's starting to calm down some more, but you still on that it's a different level. And so I'm not a big advocate of skipping your freshman and sophomore year with that associates and then going, but I am an advocate for going to go get those dual credit classes and like just putting yourself a little bit ahead. That way you don't have to take you can take a normal full load. You can take
Yeah.
12 instead of 15.
Yeah.
You can skip out on having to go to summer classes. You know, they don't really tell you if you only take 12 classes a semester that you're really going to graduate in 5 years and not 4. In your
Yep.
mind, you think that you're going to graduate in 4 because that's what you've been told, but that only happens if you take 15 hours a semester. So that those can like kind of shave that off so that you can have less classes and still graduate in that 4 year time period. But yeah, just don't kind of feel like you like know what your options are. Don't feel like you have to be confined to doing what everyone else is doing. And if you're somebody who is not planning to go to college or you know you're being condemned because they're like, what? You're not choosing college? Like, don't you know what you're doing in your life? It's like, listen, get you a certification and what you want to do, and you can do that at a community college. It doesn't necessarily have to be a degree. It can just be a like 6 month certification,
Mhm.
12-month certification. Those can take you a long way. My friend, we were just talking to each other, and she said, in reality, and this is for her again, I said my degree worked for me. You know, it worked for
Mhm.
me. But for her, she said that her paralegal certification that she got that took her about, I want to say it took her maybe 8 months to a year. She got it from UT Austin. Her paralegal certification took her much further in her career than her degree did.
Mm.
And that really kind of like resonated with me. So those of you who aren't planning to go to college, I would say some you need some type of post-secondary education now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what form it comes in, if you're going to culinary school or something like that, but you should have something else attached to your name other than just a high school diploma.
You gotta learn some
Or
skills.
you're gonna be hustling, 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 and it's gonna feel like this just, you know, like a rat running in a circle. It's like you're gonna hustle, but you need something added to your name because people aren't just, you know, you need those credentials, but it doesn't have to be a college degree. Now, again, it might bring more opportunities. I know for me, I can't be in education without a degree in education. Okay.
Yeah.
Or not in education, but I can't be in education without a degree. But depending on what role, you can't be a doctor without a degree. You can't
Multiple.
be in certain, yeah, without certain. But if you know that you're gonna go work and be a insurance adjuster, why would you go? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying don't go to college, but like, why are you, you know, stressing yourself about going to a university? Go to a community college, get your degree, and then you know
Go to
get your
work.
insurance adjusting. Like, yeah, and you can still make good money. So
Mhm.
just kind of ask, research. Now you don't have no excuses. We had access to the internet, but y'all know how to work the internet. These young
Yeah.
babies, y'all know how to really work it. So use it to your advantage and do research. And use YouTube University.
Yes, ma'am. That is YouTube University. Yeah,
and
it's great.
watch Coach K's podcast so you can learn.
Yep.
Shameless plug.
Yes.
But
Yep.
seriously, watch Coach K's podcast because she's giving you the game. She's bringing people on to give you the game so that you don't have to go through what we went through. So
Exactly.
that's what I would say.
Well, look, I appreciate you for giving them that whole spiel because they need to know that college is not something that everyone has to do. You just got to know what works best for you. So
Right.
I concur with everything. I,
Awesome.
well, Brittney, I appreciate you. I thank you so much for coming on. This was great, and I can't wait for them to hear this.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I know you said we don't get to talk as much, but it just felt, you know, like your energy was like aligned with this energy happening right here. And I'm talking about that all the time, even to my kids. They're like, "What are you talking about with this energy stuff?" And I'm like,
It's real.
listen, you want to find people who are like y'all energy aligned, and that's how we're able to have conversations like this without necessarily talking to each other every day. So
Mhm.
I appreciate you bringing me on and just welcoming me and even thinking of me because I didn't think I was someone like okay, podcast worthy, but thank you. That kind of boosted my confidence a little bit more too. So I appreciate that.
No problem at all.